Hello, I'm Dr. JP, a doctor of psychology. Today I'll be talking about how to date seriously when you have an anxious attachment style, deal with fear of abandonment, and struggle with feelings of low self-worth. As an illustration, I'll refer to the Love is Blind couple, Jarrett and Ayana. They met and married on the show over a year ago and recently announced that they are divorcing. Although it's a heavily edited reality show and social experiment with storylines and characters that are curated by producers for our entertainment, many of the things that we see can be applied to real life. Most of the time, there are waving red flags that exist in the dating stage before a marriage proposal is made, before a wedding and children, and before divorce. I think the blindest aspect of Love is Blind is not the wall in the pod that prevents the men and women from seeing each other. It is the proverbial blindness that often exists in relationships in the real world. People who are not aware of or they are in denial of their own weaknesses, who continue to participate in romantic relationships with people who they are not compatible with in a healthy way.
Help yourself. Cut the games. Yeah, just cut the games. Okay, so if you had a red, what would it be?
I would say if you're too close to your exes, that's a red flag.
Okay, so let's recap. Ayana was seriously interested in Jarrett and apparently another guy who wasn't included in the footage that aired. Jarrett was in her top 2 and he wasn't number 2. At some point in the process, she decided that he was her number 1 and she was fully invested. On the other hand, Jarrett also had a top 2 and Mallory was his number 1. After he set the ambiance with tacos for a marriage proposal to his number 1 choice, Mallory, and she turned him down, he was devastated, crying in the pod, crying in the men's quarters, crying in the corner, crying in his room. Very soon after the rejection, he decided to pursue his connection with Ayana. When he told Ayana about his proposal to Mallory, Ayana was heartbroken. It triggered her sense of low self-worth and fear of abandonment. She realized that she was not his priority, and that was one of her greatest fears. Soon after that, Jarrett proposed to Ayana with less effort in terms of setting the ambiance, because where were the tacos?
Taco. I will be doing this at home, let me tell you that. Ain't it good? Yeah. Okay. Everybody calm down.
Anyway, Ayana said yes with glee. What are some of this couple's relationship red flags? If you can identify with either of these people, Jarrett or Ayana, how can you apply the lessons to your own life? Ayana showed beautiful vulnerability. She was able to express her experiences and the effect that they've had on her. When she was upset, she articulated her feelings and let Jarrett know what she needed from him. However, it's my opinion that even though this was an expedited process, people were meeting and marrying within weeks, it's unwise to share too much too soon about your traumatic past and your deepest insecurities. Instead of going into details about the parents who abandoned her and the other terrible events that she experienced, she could have told him briefly that she's not in touch with her birth parents and that she's adopted. If Jarrett decided to propose in the event that Mallory said no, and he knew less about Ayana's past trauma and current insecurities, then it's something that she could have talked to him more about after they met in person.
Growing together, getting to know each other even more, because we were naive to think we knew each other before.
When Jarrett met Ayana's family and they asked him what he loves about her, he replied, her strength. There has been a mini movement lately of women expressing that they don't want to be called strong because it means that their gentleness, fragility, weakness, fatigue, Beauty, femininity, and boundaries are being overlooked. When you've been called strong because you've had to be, the goal is not to end up with a man who does not acknowledge your softness and provide a safe space for you in a cold world. In the pods, Jarrett gushed over the things that he adored about Mallory, his first choice. The conversation between them, based on what we saw, was not built on the foundation of past trauma and struggle. Establish emotional boundaries so that you can make clear decisions. In the pods, Jarrett shared that in the previous year, he was stabbed by a friend at night, which left him fighting for his life in the hospital. Ayana showed a lot of compassion, which is a beautiful quality. But after we have expressed compassion and shed tears of empathy, it's important for us to reflect on the information that a potential spouse has provided us with. Use context clues to discern what their decision making is like, what type of friends they choose, what type of lifestyle they live. Ask more questions if you need to. If the answers don't add up, stop the equation. It is beautiful, ideal, and encouraged to be an empathetic person, but if you don't have boundaries around your empathy, then you just become a passive, people-pleasing pushover. Cry if you must, but don't allow your emotions to cloud your good judgment and your detective skills. Remember, dating is a time to gather data. Don't marry somebody in your heart before you've married them in real life. Keep a clear head and get the information that you need in order to determine if this is a person that you should marry. Jarrett shared that no one checked on him while he was in hospital, which made him realize that he was alone in the world and that he wanted a wife because he didn't want to experience a traumatic event again without a committed woman to endure it with. If you're seriously dating someone with the intention of marriage, you should definitely check your motives and also check what their motives are for dating and pursuing marriage. If the reasons revolve around finding a person who meets their needs and desires, and there's no mention of them serving their partner and engaging in a mutually beneficial, healthy, growing, thriving relationship, it's not a good sign, especially if you already deal with a history of feeling neglected and fearing abandonment.
I think we were kind of looking for that instant gratification, with merging our lives together. And, we just have to learn early on that, it's going to take time.
When the couple eventually moved in together, Jarrett went out with his friends almost every night, leaving Ayana at home even after she made it known that this upset her and made her feel neglected. This was a honeymoon stage when couples are typically inseparable. This behavior was a red flag. Where were these friends when he was isolated in hospital the year prior? Do these friends know about Ayana? If so, why would they encourage Jarrett to hang out with them instead of spending time with the person that he just proposed to? The friends that attended the wedding were sure to tell Jarrett about all of the fun that he was giving up by marrying Ayana. If your partner has friends that are a bad influence and these friends are a priority to them, they often leave you to spend time with these friends who don't support your relationship. That's a red flag. If someone claims that they'll change their behavior after a commitment, or at a certain age, or on a certain date, ask yourself, how are they behaving now? Change is hard. You know this because you've tried to break bad habits and form new good habits in your own life. It's hard to change yourself. There's no way that you can change someone else or guarantee that someone will change because you want them to.
The balance between our personalities and our needs, because he loves to go out and I love to stay in. I love my alone times.
When someone shows behaviors, personality traits, lifestyle choices that are not compatible with yours, don't make excuses. Don't continue a relationship with them. These apparent differences are allegedly the reason why this couple is divorcing now. But they were there before they ever met. Granted, Ayana didn't see everything until the show aired, but she experienced enough firsthand to end the marriage before it ever began. Unfortunately, the proposal was not the only red flag. From the going out with friends almost every night to flirting with Mallory in Mexico, there was often a disregard of Ayana's feelings, a lack of respect, and there were behaviors that triggered insecurity. Ayana felt like a lesser priority from the time that she found out about the proposal.
I'm terrified. I never want to feel like someone's second choice.
But she tried to work through it with Jared, and by the time that the wedding day arrived, she felt secure enough to marry him. You don't have to be the cool, easygoing girl when you are being disrespected. You can have boundaries, you can respectfully speak up for yourself without losing your composure. She often did a good job of speaking up, but if you speak up and you are not heard and there is no behavior change, you can walk away.
What make you feel powerful, like when dating? Not compromising my values and like my standards and my requirements. I think it just also depends to like where you guys are at in that stage of the relationship, because sometimes like you gotta just make sure you're giving it to the right person. I think that's important, because it's like when you start giving it to the wrong person, it's gonna like drain you.
One of the unique aspects of this show is that they are making a major decision in isolation of people who really know and love them. They're doing it in a short amount of time. They were especially vulnerable. We are all vulnerable in some way. Even those of us who are self-aware and have done the work, we all need wise counsel. It's difficult to clearly see a situation for what it is while you're the main character. If you have experiences that have negatively shaped your self-worth and attachment style, it's important to consider this when choosing a spouse. Can they make space for you emotionally? Can they protect you? Are their behaviors and personality traits triggering? Are they emotionally available and considerate? Not in a therapist or a parent kind of way, but in a partnership kind of way. Are they someone who has the emotional maturity and commitment to not cause further trauma in your life? This is not a decision that can be made in isolation. Involve your community, your mentors, parents, therapists, people who know you, know your flaws, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and strengths. People who love you, want the best for you, hold you accountable, and tell you the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. And don't rush the process. Work on yourself before you start dating, while you're dating, and after you found someone that you want to marry. When we haven't addressed our wounds, we often choose a partner based on our insecurities and fears. We choose from an unhealed place. We choose someone who triggers the unresolved feelings and subconsciously reminds us of those who hurt us in the past. When you do the work to heal before dating, you're more likely to choose someone from a place of healing, a healthy sense of self-worth, and self-awareness. My hope is that this video will help someone to learn from others' mistakes so that you can avoid learning these lessons through personal experience. But realistically, for many people, healing is lifelong work, and lessons are learned in retrospect. Hindsight is 20/20, so many people have to endure bad relationships to learn lessons about themselves. The important thing is that you learn, and once you know better, do better.
Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Be certified.
Remember, love is not blind. It is fully aware. It holds people accountable. It's not in denial. It's empathetic and hopeful, but wise and discerning. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Gotta be something different. You must be made for me. Patience is everything. In and out, in and out, in and out. Arguing, trifling, difficult. Bit more. I don't